Welcome to Callosm, a podcast where science meets art. Callosm is a bundle of fibers that connects the left half of the brain with the right. According to conventional neuroscience, the left half of the brain is more logical and mathematical, and the right half is more artistic and creative. Although modern literature challenges this concept, the reason I named it Callosm is because the theme of this podcast is interdisciplinary thinking. I strongly believe that the future lies in taking a fundamental concept from one field and applying it to another, leading to new ideas that transcend the confines of a single discipline. My name is Dr. Suneet Zadav. I'm an assistant professor in anatomy and a musician who's currently pursuing a PhD in cognitive neuroscience, trying to understand how music affects the brain. While reading the latest research on this topic, I was fascinated by how much we do not know yet. And the podcast is my idea of trying to deliver whatever I read to an audience that is excited to learn more about the human brain and body, but in simpler words, so they feel enabled to live a healthier life. Lastly, being part of an independent music community, I would further love to use this podcast to help indie artists perform their upcoming art, in the hope that it reaches a wider audience.
Hello and welcome. So for those who are listening to this on YouTube, you probably know that this channel used to be called Zadav's Anatomy. That was a thing I started during the pandemic to teach human anatomy to medical students. And over the last 3 years, I've decided to kind of increase the outreach of the conversation that I want to have beyond the medical fraternity and more towards the general masses, especially artists. For those who are listening on the podcast, I've already mentioned that I also moonlight as a singer-songwriter. And an important thing that I notice in my conversations with artists is they do not have access to quality peer-reviewed science. They've been reading all the health-related stuff from scoop whoop articles or just like bro science conversations in the gym, and I really wanted to change that because I do spend a lot of my time reading about peer-reviewed science. As for my medical friends, doctors, medical students, academicians, etc., they seem to have a different impression of what it means to be an artist. They almost always associate it with glamour without realizing that there is much more than that. In fact, a very short percentage of the artistic community does indulge in glamour. The rest of us are just trying to really pay our bills and try to find the sweet spot between having to express ourselves artistically and yet give the crowd what they want, which is the stuff that is in the pop charts and the stuff that is quote unquote sellable to the general masses. I wanted to bring about a change in this conversation by telling the academicians that we need to support local art, just like we need to support small businesses and local produce. We need to give people an opportunity to talk about what they go through. It could be your local artist at the local pub. It could be somebody who's from your city, etc. And for my musician friends, or largely the artistic community, I wanted to speak about the actual well-cited, well-known literature that is seen in these research articles, which probably the artistic community finds too wordy or too exhausting to read. So the point is to reach this middle ground so that both these communities thrive and, more importantly, they get to know each other better. And with the same theme of interdisciplinarity, the podcast has an artist and an academician on the same episode. And the first 30 minutes or so of the podcast will speak about science and health and just, research-based or evidence-based practices to improve daily living. And the second half would be an artist, or usually a musician, who will play their original music, upcoming or released, and speak about the process or speak about what the song was based on. I think we need to have more conversations about the background behind the writing of a song, right? Which I think is lacking in the popular music culture and the way we consume music. So this is my humble attempt to kind of try to merge these two fields. And in the process of that, I hope I can actually imbibe interdisciplinary thinking, because I truly believe that the future is interdisciplinary, as I have said in the beginning of the introduction. So it would be really amazing if you like the podcast on YouTube or on social media and share it, etc. Now, I won't be saying this all the time because I'm not the kind of person who does that. But if this means something to you, or if you can find somebody who might see value in this, please go along and go ahead and share it with them. I'm also going to use this opportunity to briefly speak about the 4 episodes that will be released in season 1. Every episode will be split into 2. So an hour-long conversation is split into 2 30-minute conversations, followed by 1 musical or artistic performance at the end of each. We have a total of 4 episodes, which will be split into 2 each. So a total of 8 episodes. It'll be 1.1, 1.2, 2.1, 2.2, etc. And the first episode is going to speak about protein intake. How much protein do we actually need? We have Dr. Chirag, who's a neurosurgeon and a fitness enthusiast, speaking about latest literature on the recommended dietary protein intake based on your activity. The second episode is going to speak about attachment theory or attachment styles. We have Therapy Grove, which is 2 therapists whose names I will announce in the episode. But they want to come as Therapy Grove, which is their Instagram handle. And they want to speak about how our relationship with our partners in adult romantic lives is largely based upon our initial relationship with our parents when we were toddlers. And they're going to cite some experiments. And this is a legit psychology thing, which would really, really, open doors and give insights into how to resolve conflicts in relationships, or if you're single, how to understand what is your attachment style and what kind of partner you want to, couple with. The third episode is going to be on lifestyle medicine. We have Dr. Amit Agarwal, who's a professor of medicine at the institute where I teach, and he's going to speak about simple daily things we can do, like breathing, certain nutrients, certain lifestyle changes we can do to just live a better life and hopefully not depend too much on, pharmacology or medicines or drugs. And the fourth episode, we have Dr. Sharmeen Wazifdar, who's a gynecologist, an ex-student of mine, who's going to speak about menstrual health, focusing more on the lifestyle changes you can do to treat PCOD or polycystic ovarian disease. The musical guests are myself on the first episode. I'll be playing music from my new album, Textbook of Bad Decisions. I should say upcoming unreleased new album. Then on episode 2, we have Vicky Tejas, who play incredible Hindi music, which is really reminiscent of the 70s and the 80s. On episode 3, we have Aditi Dahikar, who's one of my students, who's got a beautiful voice and she plays the guitar. You should definitely check it out. And on episode 4, we have Arifa Rebello, who's a singer-songwriter. So this is it for the first season, which will be cast as 8 episodes, preferably every 7 days, one every 7 days. I should have just said weekly, right? So if you think you will find value in this, if you're a person who enjoys peer-reviewed science in spite of not being a part of the academic community, or if you're a person who enjoys heartfelt expression full of honesty and transparency instead of what the people want to listen to, then you might really love this podcast. So thank you, and I hope I will see you in the next one. Bye.
If you like what you hear, please support the Callosm team by liking, sharing, following, and/or subscribing to Callosm. That's CALLOSM on Instagram and YouTube. You can also check out all episodes on sunitzadav.com/Callosm. That's SUNITZADAV.com/CALLOSM. Thank you so much for your time and happy listening.